The night it all started, the palace was glowing. Crystal chandeliers hung like stars, and the air was thick with perfume, polished manners, and champagne that tasted like power. Every corner of the royal gallery whispered tradition, but underneath the marble and pearls, something sharper was brewing. Catherine, Princess of Wales, stood in her element. Confident, poised, the very picture of modern royalty. But not even she saw it coming when Laura Lopes stepped into the spotlight. Laura wasn't new to the scene, but this was different. It was her first official appearance as part of the royal fold, and she knew exactly how to own the moment. Tall, elegant, dressed in a sleek black gown that caught every flash of every camera, Laura didn't look like an outsider anymore. She looked like someone ready to claim something. And standing beside her, Queen Camilla watched it all with that unreadable smile, the kind that hides 1,000 motives. Kate across the room was charming guests with her usual grace, laughing politely, sipping wine, dressed in soft whites that made her look more angelic than human. William stood nearby, never too far, always with a hand resting lightly at her back, a silent gesture of unity. But then Laura approached, wine glass in hand, blue eyes cold and glittering. "You must rarely have time to truly understand art," Laura said, voice like velvet laced with poison. "All those photo ops must leave little room for reflection." It wasn't loud. It didn't have to be. The people around them fell silent, sensing blood in the water. Kate's smile froze for half a second. Her fingers curled slightly, hidden beneath silk, but she didn't flinch. Her eyes sharpened, and with a soft smile, she replied, "Thank you for the advice, Laura. I'm always learning from those around me." It was a masterclass in restraint, but the damage was done. Laura had landed the first blow in what would become a quiet, brutal war. The next morning, tabloids had a field day. "Laura Lopes mocks Princess Kate. Only good for posing," one headline screamed. Social media followed, half defending Kate, half asking why she didn't fire back. But Kate was never one for impulsive comebacks. She absorbed the insult like armor, the heat turning into fuel. Alone in her study, teacup burning her palm, she stared at the headline and didn't blink. If Laura wanted a war, she'd get one. But not with noise. Kate didn't do chaos, she did strategy. Days passed, but the sting lingered, and then Laura started showing up everywhere. Art shows, charity auctions, concerts, always beside Camilla, always in something elegant, always just visible enough to get noticed. It wasn't coincidence, it was a campaign. Her Instagram lit up with curated shots, her sipping champagne before a Monet, laughing with art critics, posing beside her mother like a polished heir. The captions were short, vague, and perfectly calculated, exploring beauty with those who inspire me. Every photo whispered the same thing: I belong here. The press caught on. "The new face of royal culture," one magazine asked. "Laura Lopes rising," another teased. But Kate knew what this really was, a carefully disguised attempt to undermine everything she'd spent a decade building. From children's hospitals to early childhood programs, she'd earned her place with work, not wine glasses. And now Laura, with her sly smile and backstage connections, wanted to steal it with nothing but showmanship. Kate waited. She didn't rush. She didn't rant. Instead, she started digging. If Laura wanted to play culture queen, Kate would redefine the game. And somewhere in East London, a young artist named Elena Martinez was about to become the key to flipping everything on its head. The studio smelled like turpentine and ambition. Elena Martinez stood at the center of it all. Brush in hand, smudged jeans, wild curls tied up in a loose bun, completely unaware that the Princess of Wales had just walked through her door. Kate didn't bring an entourage. No photographers, no security detail in black suits, just herself, a tan trench coat, and a soft smile that didn't belong to someone waging a royal battle. Elena blinked, stunned. "Wait, I've seen your work," Kate said gently, looking around at canvases exploding with color and rawness. "And I think the royal family needs you." Elena, who grew up in East London council flats, never imagined her paintings born out of survival, not gallery dreams, would find their way into Kensington Palace. Yet here she was, being offered a chance to represent the very institution that once felt galaxies away. Kate didn't speak like royalty. She spoke like someone who understood what it meant to fight quietly. In the weeks that followed, plans were made under the radar. Late-night calls to museum directors, private strategy meetings with exhibition curators. Kate orchestrated every detail like a conductor, careful not to tip her hand. The Victoria and Albert Museum was hosting the biggest international art showcase of the year, and Kate made sure Alina would be the face of it. Not just a featured artist, but the royal cultural ambassador. The title Laura had been chasing for months. Behind palace walls, Laura was still riding high. She'd just wrapped a Vogue feature, photographed against marble columns with her arms crossed and that signature smirk. Camilla was already whispering to advisors, laying the groundwork to make Laura's role official. She believed they had the palace's silent blessing. Even William had started to notice the tension. He'd seen the subtle shift in press coverage, how articles now compared Laura's sophistication to Kate's conservative. But Kate wasn't idle. She just didn't shout. Her power came from precision. When the day of the exhibition arrived, the museum buzzed like a hive, critics from Paris, New York, Dubai, all in attendance. And then Kate arrived. Crimson gown, shoulders back, expression calm but eyes blazing, the kind of presence that made people pause mid-sentence. William walked beside her, proud and firm, while the cameras flashed like thunder around them. Laura and Camilla watched from the side, dressed impeccably, assuming this would be their moment. Kate stepped up to the podium. "Art isn't just beauty," she began, voice steady. "It's truth, it's defiance, and sometimes it's hope." Then, turning slightly, she extended a hand. "It's my honor to name Elena Martinez as the royal family's cultural ambassador." The hall erupted. Elena, shaking, stepped forward to join her. The cameras pivoted instantly, flashbulbs burst, critics leaned forward. It wasn't just a surprise, it was a declaration. Kate hadn't just reclaimed her ground, she'd elevated someone who represented everything Laura dismissed. In a corner of the room, Laura's face drained of color. Her glass trembled in her hand. Camilla leaned in, her smile gone. "She played us," Laura whispered. "No," Camilla said under her breath, eyes fixed on Kate. "She beat us." The echo of applause still lingered in the museum's marble corridors when Kate slipped into a quieter hallway, her heels tapping steadily against the polished floor. Her heart pounded, not from nerves, but from something deeper. Relief. She'd done it. Without a raised voice or a tabloid war, she'd shifted the royal narrative on her own terms. Behind her, Elena was swarmed by critics and guests, her eyes lit with disbelief and gratitude. Cameras caught every angle, every tear, every smile. It was a moment no one could fake, and Kate knew the public would see that. Then came the footsteps. Sharp, rushed, echoing. She turned. Laura. Her emerald gown shimmered under the antique lights, but her expression was anything but poised. Jaw clenched, eyes wild, she marched forward like a storm bottled in satin. "You picked her to humiliate me," she snapped, voice trembling. Kate didn't flinch. "I picked her because she deserves it. You think this makes you noble? You think dragging me down makes you rise? I don't need to drag you down, Laura. You're doing that yourself." Camilla's arrival was quieter, but no less tense. She moved with that regal calm she'd perfected over decades, but her eyes were sharp, calculating. "You've overstepped, Catherine," she said coolly. "This kind of move against family, it won't be forgotten." Kate stepped forward, eyes locked with Camilla's. "Then remember this. Being royal isn't about birth or blood, it's about service. And if you think this family is threatened by a woman who gives back, then maybe you should reconsider what throne you're standing next to." Camilla's lips tightened. Laura looked away, defeated. Kate walked past them both. That night, news outlets exploded. Kate reclaims crown of cultural leadership, a new era of royal influence, princess of the people again. Editorials hailed her move as bold, visionary, and utterly devastating for Laura's aspirations. Even critics who had once praised Laura's elegance now questioned her intentions. Behind palace doors, the fallout was swift. An internal memo quietly confirmed that Laura would no longer be considered for formal royal roles. Officially, it was a strategic restructuring of duties. Unofficially, everyone knew It was Kate's win. Laura retreated. Her Instagram went quiet, appearances were canceled, friends distanced themselves. The girl who once floated through ballrooms with champagne and entitlement now wandered her flat in silence, scrolling through the headlines that had once adored her and now dissected her downfall. Camilla, though more composed, felt the sting too. Her credibility took a hit. Questions were raised about her judgment, her influence, her silence when things began spiraling. Alone in Clarence's house, she stared out a rain-flecked window and wondered if she'd pushed her daughter too far into a game she was never equipped to win. At Buckingham Palace, a grand banquet welcomed foreign dignitaries and global leaders. Kate arrived last, a sapphire gown hugging her frame, the lover's knot tiara resting proudly atop her hair. Every head turned. William beside her beamed with pride. In a far corner, Camilla and Laura stood quieter than usual. Camilla nodded at Kate from across the room. Kate returned the nod just enough to be civil. Laura didn't look up. As music played and glasses clinked, Kate moved through the hall like she owned it. Not with noise, but with purpose. She didn't need to gloat. Her presence was enough, because in the end, she hadn't just won a title, she'd reminded the world that the crown doesn't sit on your head. It lives in what you do. And that night, as she danced beneath the chandelier's soft glow, she knew she'd never let anyone steal her light again.